Right side, boys! About 25 metres out! Jesus.
Hey boys and girls, GameCam here, and today we're going to be talking about a video that's been on the back burner for a while now. I've been meaning to sort it out. It's just been so busy with everything going on, and I've got so many other video ideas. I sort of just been like darting between the things and not really getting anything finished. So this video has taken a long time to actually sort out, but here it is now. I was going to decide what I was going to do with it, so at the moment I'm just going to turn to a commentary. So this is going to be my video of just me talking about my first Milsim / Filmsim experience, and there'll be a little bit of a channel update at the end. But yeah, let's just get into it. So my first event was Operation Grimreaper, hosted by the people at Battlestations, Snetterton. It was on the 1st and 2nd of September this year. So I'll just be talking about the event and my impressions of, being a complete nub and coming into Milsim / Filmsims, and whether, if you're a complete nub, what you should do. So it all started out with me seeing the event on Facebook. Obviously I've been doing Airsoft for a while, so I decided it was the time to give Filmsims and Milsims a try. And after watching Airsoft Cam Man's video on the event, there'll be a link in the description to it. It didn't seem too serious, so I felt it would be more forgiving of me, because I'm just completely brand new at it. Instead of some other events where you can get like shouted at and things like that, so I felt it was just more forgiving, so I decided to go for something a little bit more like Milsim Light. When I went on the website to book, I saw there was 3 teams. There was NATO, Longmoor forces, and the Rebels. I felt that the NATO boys were basically just like generic army boys. Longmoor forces were PMC, and the Rebels were just civvies with guns. I decided to go up to Rebels because it was only £35 compared to like 70 for the rest of the teams. You get to fight everyone, so the Rebels were just like, we gonna murder all y'all. So that was quite fun. You also get to roleplay a lot more because like you're playing civilians and things like that, so you're the NPCs of the event. Basically, you have to do all the interactions with all the inverted commas players, and things like that. And you also get to they tell you what to do roughly, but you can kind of make up your own sort of jam and your own stuff to do, which is kind of cool. And the only drawback really is that you had to stop and help with the setup and cleanup and everything like that, which I probably would have done anyway, because obviously I'm good guy Cam over here helping everyone out. The event took place at Longmoor training grounds, which was a decent way away, and they wanted people to be there really early in the morning. I think it was around 9 AM or something on Saturday. So I booked a campsite nearby so I could drive down the night before. Instead, so then hopefully I can get some sleep and not have to worry about waking up so early to get there. But it didn't really work out that way, because when I got to the campsite it was 11 AM on Friday night, pitch black, and to top it off, the tent instructions made absolutely no sense, so I just gave up after about half an hour and tried to sleep in my car, which was I'm a big guy and my car's a Toyota Argo, so it was just completely impractical, so I ended up with a big crick in my neck. Next morning though, I left the campsite early to try and get to the training grounds, because obviously I saw on the thing they wanted help with setup, so I thought if I get there early, it would be the best, because then I can actually help out and do my bit. But when I actually got there, it was like a small little turn off on the side of this dual carriageway, and there was about, I don't know, space for about 5 cars in this little turn off thing, because there was a gate there, and I think there was about 9 of us in the end, all trying to pile into this tiny pull over at this dual carriageway to try and get in there to try and sort it out. And we were waiting there for about 20 minutes or so before they finally opened up the gates, which I can kind of understand, because obviously a lot of us got there very early, but I'm surprised by how many people actually got there really early. But then they drove us down to the car park, where they then like talked to us a little bit, and then they led us to the actual main base thing where we took our cars and you can unload your gear into the little. So you had these little boxes like shipping containers sort of things, which had all the beds in and everything like that. So you went down and you unloaded your gears in there. Usually the rebels are in a different compound, but this year they managed to fit us in the main compound, which was great because the other compound apparently didn't have any beds or anything like that, and like we wouldn't be able to drive down there, so I have to carry all my gear. So it's really good that we had this area where we can just sort of pull in and dump our stuff off. But obviously it was a bit awkward having to constantly walk by the opposite team all the time. After that, they then chronoed our guns and gave us the overview brief and the rules of the event and everything like that. The rebels were then taken to one side and told what to do, and we had a little bit of a meet and greet, which was quite good. The rebel team was a great group of guys. A couple I'd seen marshalling at Battlestations beforehand. The rest of them I hadn't really met before. We got on really well and were constantly making jokes and having a good time. And when they were playing, they all knew what they were doing and they all like quite good at Airsoft. So it was really funny because like the 7 of us were holding off about 50 dudes actually really well. Because obviously there's like the two other teams were like 30 people I think it was, and they were all just coming for us. And I ended up buying a vest from Aaron, who was on the Rebel side. He runs a site up in Lincolnshire. There'll be a link in the description for that. He gave me a Rebel buddy discount and invited me up to his site, which was really nice of him. I hope to go up there and play at some point when I have time to go up to Lincolnshire, but just at the moment I'm just really busy. So hopefully sometime next year, I would have thought. Yeah, so then the main person who was doing like most of the call outs was Darren, who obviously is one of the main dudes at Battlestations. He told us to go into the village and roleplay civvies as the two teams were reconning the area, so they're walking around sort of getting their bearings and everything like that. I went with my first character, an Italian cook, whose restaurant was destroyed in a bombing, and because of my Oscar-winning acting, he turned into one of the fan favourites among all the players, and basically everyone started calling me Chef for the whole entire event, because everyone just forgot my name, so they just called me Chef, because that was the main thing I was wearing. There's also shenanigans in that section about like loads of talk of banging goats, and there was some dodgy policemen, and there was us trying to do like a small rebellion, which was really funny. But yeah, I think it was funny if you had to be there, sort of moments. We were then told to grab our guns and go to the police station / compound. Then at 11, we were supposed to go to the main fire base and throw a load of grenades over the wall to simulate mortar fire, and then defend the police station. But the thing was that when we went over, we were lobbing the nades over and expected them to be like rushing out and shooting us, and we'd be like, oh no, as we ran back to the police station. We ran back to the police station. About 20 minutes later, they still weren't coming out. So what we did was we got a little bit bored. So we kept running over there and started shooting at them and just sort of teasing them and be like, come on, you pussies. Come on and fat me. And stuff like that. And they took forever to try and get out there, which was pretty funny. Eventually they then started coming over to the police station. I was running my classic army M249 that I got on a sale a little while before, and I can see why it was on sale. The range was really bad no matter how much I fiddled with the hop up, and hopefully I'll get it upgraded soon, because I think it just needs a new inner barrel, a new hop up unit, and that should be probably fine. I was rocking .25s in it, but hopefully I'll get that sorted out at some point soon. So once I get it upgraded, I hope to run it a lot more. Eventually they pushed inside the police station, and I thought I would lay down and pretend to be dead for like dramatic effect sort of thing, and I shit you not, no one really checked my room, and the one guy that didn't check I was dead. I was just laying there with a gun in my hand, and I thought it was a dick move to start shooting. So I just sort of laid there and just like waited to see what happened, and they just shouted cleared building, and I was like, well, you didn't really clear the building, mate, I'm still here. But I just got up and left, because I felt like I don't want to do a dick move and try and run out there and shoot them, because I'm just going to end up getting lit up and they're going to end up getting bitchy. So then we went back to the main firebase to get briefed on what to do next and rearm. I took this time to switch over to my other character, Dave the insurance salesman, which you can see here rocking a fine suit, which was actually, surprisingly enough, I was running around with that thing for a good few hours in like proper action, and it was almost perfectly clean by the end. Like I didn't even have to wash it that much when I got home. Which I thought was just astounding how the detail on that just managed to hold up. But yeah, then we went we then went into the village and had to defend the houses from the teams pushing from the police station, which I think we did really well. But then we had to counter push them, which didn't go so well because they were just really dug into all the buildings and they could revive each other. So it was sort of a case of, you know, there's our 7 and we'll like shoot a couple, but then like the other rest of the 10 in that floor of the building would just revive them, and it's sort of just never sort of ending. We just kept throwing ourselves against this sort of wave of troops sticking out the windows. We kept fighting in the village till late. Then we had to sort out the zombie part of the event. Yes, there were zombies in the event, but we'll get to that a little bit later. My chef character was chosen to become the evil Dr. Bolokov, who was turning everyone into zombies. So I put on a gas mask as well as my chef hat. So I was like running around with a chef hat and a gas mask on, which was pretty funny. We set up Dr. Bolokov's lab and the rebel camp and started putting on a show. So the idea was that the two teams were supposed to be doing like a stealthy recon of the area and trying to find out what our plans were. But they couldn't shoot us, but they thought that we could shoot them. But we were told to pretend to turn people into zombies, so we were just randomly getting some of the people that were like, you know, running civvies as well, and like some of the marshals and stuff like that. We were just grabbing them and pretending to turn them into zombies.
Go on! Come on! Remember, my friends, we know that your family is still in here. No!
Which was quite funny because it was just this loud screaming all the time and all the lights and smoke effects and everything like that. And I honestly thought I was going to go crazy because I was just wandering around this like really loud screaming voice just like for about 2 hours straight, and I was just like, oh my god, I think I'm losing my fucking mind. But that was pretty fun. Now, but the thing was, there was a couple of good moments because I managed to wander around for a bit, and the two best moments, I think, were probably when I was wandering along and I had my little flashlight, and I was wandering along, and there was this little clearing area, and I turned, and I could see a bunch of people running across, and I flashed my light on them, and they stopped like they were in Jurassic Park, just like frozen stiff, and they were just like, as if we don't move, he won't see us. And they were just standing up in the middle of the clearing, and I was just like, what are you guys doing? Well, I didn't actually say that. What I did was I just stood there in silence for a bit, and like to make it uncomfortably long, and then just shouted, oh, it must have been the wind, and turned away and walked away, and I thought that was really funny. And there was also a good moment where there was a guy I knew was in a bush. He was like hiding in this bush. So what I did is I walked over and I pretended to get ready to take a piss on the bush, and then I was like, no. And then I pulled out the last second. I wasn't heartless enough to pee on the guy. So it was just I could hear him sigh of relief. But that was really funny, just messing around with all these people, because you could just see him like crawling around and stuff, and then you're just trying to shine the light, and they're like cockroaches trying to run away from the light. It was just so funny. We then went back. We then went into the village where we got to do some shooting and stuff like that. And one of the bits was we were giving the fencing mask type ones you get for Airsoft. We were all given one of those. We were also given these plastic basically like someone had melted someone's face, but they were like zombie mask things you could put over the top of them. and you honestly could not see anything out of them. It was just complete and utter, like, just couldn't see anything, which was kind of made it even funnier. But the idea was, what we did was, they had a helicopter that they had to try and take, and we were just laying there, and they all came in and eventually took the helicopter. We held them for a little bit, but not that long. I mean, it was a wide open area, and they were coming from all sides, so we didn't really stand much of a chance. But then they had to go back into the village and clear some of the village stuff, and we were just waiting. And what we did was you would be a rebel. And you'd shoot someone, and then what you do is when you got shot, you could then like walk back into the building, put your zombie mask on, hide around the corner, and wait for them to walk in the building, and then jump on them, and then they would like obviously shoot you. And when they shot you, your body was toxic, so they couldn't stay in the building, so they had to then leave. So then you could then literally like get up, walk out the back door, walk into another building, swap out to a rebel again, shoot some people, and then just repeat the process. And it was just so much fun, because there was this one point where this guy was not paying attention watching his six, and I managed to sneak up on him as a zombie, and I made him scream like a 6-year-old girl. And that was just so much fun. What was also good was because of the fencing mask and like the filled plastic mask, and I was also wearing my vest as well. Like, they could shoot you all you want, and it didn't really feel it that much. So you could just play really aggressive zombie and not have to worry so much, because you just died and you just go like wander off a bit and then come back in again, which was loads of fun. So I did actually really enjoy being a zombie. I didn't think I'd enjoy it that much. I thought I'd just go get shot to hell, but it was actually really funny just watching them all get so scared when you just run around the corner screaming. But yeah, then we went back to the firebase after a while and got some sleep, which was good, because I think I was really tired by that point. But then we had to get up at 6 the next morning to go defend the train that we were, because obviously last night before we were shouting about how we were moving a bomb on a train or something like that to go blow everyone up and turn them into zombies and everything. So the other teams had to come try and stop us, but obviously we had to get there first to try and obviously set up some sort of defence. But then the thing was, we got there at 6, so we were just sort of waiting there for them to come, and they took bloody forever. I think it felt like at least 40 minutes before they turned up. It seemed to just take forever. And then eventually when they did turn up, it felt like a bit like cheating, because they were told to come from the village toward the train tracks. But then a load of them came around on the right of us, like on our flank, and it was just like, I mean, it's hard enough trying to hold off against 60 dudes. It's almost impossible to try and hold off against 60 dudes when you got dudes coming on your flank as well. And you had almost no cover anyway with the train tracks. But then we obviously, once they obviously murdered a load of us on the train tracks, we then fell back to Dr. Bolakov's lab. I put the Dr. Bolokov gear on, and we tried to hold off that for a bit. I eventually got shot, and I pretended to be injured on the floor, because I was told that they were supposed to capture me. But then they just came in. They came in and then left, and then just went over and started attacking the rebel camp nearby. And it was just like, I thought they were supposed to capture me, so I was just like, what, lol? But it turns out that they just scrapped that part, and they weren't going to capture me or anything like that. And then what they did was they then wandered off. The two teams wandered off into the village and started killing each other, which I felt like could have probably done the whole betrayal bit a bit earlier, just to make things a bit more interesting. But hey ho. But yeah, then we obviously packed up everything and we went back to the main base to sort out all our stuff, and packed up everything, all our gear. And then once the other teams had done killing each other in the village, we then went out to the village and helped clear up a lot of the stuff that was left around, so like pyros. We swept up most of the BBs. Obviously, you can't get them all, but we swept up most of the BBs, which I think was really good. Then obviously it was the end of the event. You know, we'd all done our bits. We'd all had our fun. We then obviously put our stuff back in our cars and head off. So I went back to the campsite because I was doing something that evening. And the campsite was actually really nice. I spent a few hours there, and it's actually a really great place. I'll put a link in the description. I definitely recommend, if you're in the area, just give it a look. It was a really nice campsite. I mean, I'm not a huge camping person, but that was actually really, really nice. So, in conclusion, I would say if you're looking for a big skirmish, then look elsewhere. if you're looking for role play with a bit of airsoft, then Filmsim, Milsim might be something for you to look at, because I think that there was a lot of role playing and a lot of waiting and things like that, and there was shooting. There definitely was shooting, but there was not nearly as much shooting as I think a lot of people think when they're going for a whole weekend. So I'd say it's about 65% role play, about 30% shooting, and then about the rest of the percentages, I can't do my mental maths at the moment, would be just clearing up and setting stuff up. But it definitely was really fun, and I loved it. I really enjoyed it. I hope to try and go next year, and hopefully I'm getting some more of my mates into Airsoft, so hopefully we'll be able to bring those along as well, because I think having a few of my mates come along would probably enhance the experience as well. But yeah, I'd say definitely worth a look if you're thinking about considering it.